Hey, fantasy fans out there, this is Lee H. Haywood, the author of the Gods and Kings Chronicles. What I'm going to share with you guys today is some of the tips and strategies I learned for making fantasy worlds and fantasy maps over the last couple of years. The map you see on the left is the map that is actually within the published edition of the Gods and Kings Chronicles. It's the map of my fantasy world of Leveria. And then the map on the right is a sort of supercontinent in which Leveria exists within. And you'll notice that this is a geographic map, so it shows specifically where mountain ranges are, and it's got a texture to the land. Before this video series is through, I'm going to show you how to do both of these. For this very first video, though, we're going to start off by just creating the stamp for our land mass versus our water mass. Now, the first time I ever did map making, I did it on Microsoft MS Paint, and it's just not sufficient for what we're trying to do here. Photoshop or Photoshop Elements is what I highly recommend. Photoshop Elements is cheap, usually available for somewhere between 40 to 50 bucks when it's on sale, and it's completely capable of doing just about any sort of graphic work that you want to do. I also have an Intuos Wacom tablet. This isn't a must, but it sure does speed the process up. So, without further ado, let's talk about how to make the land mass of your fantasy world. Alright, so go and create a new file, and then what you're going to want to do is set the width at 16 inches, set the height at 9 inches, and set the resolution at 300. Make sure the color is set on RGB and the background is white. Once that's done, we're ready to start creating our cow spot. So to do so, you're going to go to Render, Clouds, which is going to create an image that looks kind of like this. And then the next trick is go to Edit. You're going to do Fill Layer. And then you're going to want to make sure it's set at 50% gray, hard mix. And then you're going to do opacity at 100%. And then you get this. These cow spots are going to serve as the basis for the border of your landmass. So the trick here is you select the lasso tool and you start moving different chunks of land around until you start to create the continent shape that you're actually looking for. So I'm going to fast forward through this section here so you can kind of see the process. And what I'd like you to think about while you're working through this yourself is, what does a continent actually look like versus what does an island look like? How does landmass come off of a continent to form islands or chains of islands? I'm pulling up Google Earth here in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's specifically look at Mexico. You can obviously see that the borders of the continent are pretty straightforward, but then look into the Caribbean, and you'll see how the islands basically are an offshoot of the Yucatan Peninsula in Florida. And they stretch all the way across and they curl back around and almost touch the northern tip of South America there. That's kind of how continents work. Continents are land masses. Continents are places where tectonic plates have thrust above the ocean surface. So you'll see what I'm doing here is I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm creating extensions of land with islands that shoot off into the ocean, making it seem like this is something that could exist in the real world. Now I'm filling everything in, making it black, so we have one solid color. And then the next step is going to be, let's add some lakes to this, or maybe seas. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to go through the exact same process. I'm going to render clouds, I'm going to do a fill layer, and I'm now going to be looking for lakes. Objects that can kind of fit the mold of what I think a lake would look like here. So I'm going to start going through here. I'm searching for something that looks not like kind of the reservoir lakes that we have all across the United States, but an actually natural lake. A lot of the natural lakes that people think of, they think of the Great Lakes or the lakes in northern Canada. Well, when you zoom in and look at these, you'll notice that they're actually fairly rounded bodies of water, because whenever you have glacier-created lakes, this is what you end up getting. So I got 4 lakes here that I'm going to now copy and paste into the main image. I'm going to kind of reposition them so that they work with how I think the landmass should exist. I've decided to create a little sea in the bottom right-hand corner. I have a lake in the top, and then you'll see there's sort of an opening in between. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to readjust where the map is. I'm going to create a land layer, and then I'm going to paint it white. And then now I'm going to go through and I'm going to create a second water layer, and I'm going to paint this one black. And now we can see a stark contrast between land and water. All right, that's it for part 1. In part 2, I'm going to show you how to start filling out the map, how to add mountains, how to add forests, how to add city markers. If you'd like to follow along with the same map that I made here, I've uploaded it as a JPEG file on my website. Visit www.leehaywood.com and you'll find the download link there. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all again in part 2.